Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to another video. It is the 13th of September. It's a Friday. It is 38 minutes past 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Welcome back to those who are tuning in. I've got a poem here called Elegy. I'll write it down. I had to look up the word elegy. Elegy means meditative lyric poem laminating the death of a public personage or a friend or loved one. I think it's supposed to be like a eulogy. The difference between an elegy and a eulogy is that elegy is a poem, whereas eulogy is usually a speech that praises the achievements and characteristics of a person. So, elegy. This poem is by Chidiok Tickburn. Right. Again, it's from this book again. So I liked the poem yesterday, and I wanted to read another one. Elegy. My prime of youth is but a frost of cares. My feast of joy is but a dish of pain. My crop of corn is but a field of tares. And all my good is but vain hope of gain. The day is past, and yet I saw no sun, and now I live, and now my life is done. My tale was heard, and yet it was not told. My fruit is fallen, and yet my leaves are green. My youth is spent, and yet I am not old. I saw the world, and yet I am not seen. My thread is cut, and yet it is not spun, and now I live, and now my life is done. I sought my death, and found it in my womb. I looked for life, and saw it in the shade. I trod the earth, and knew it was my tomb. And now I die, and now I was but made. My glass is full, and now my glass is run, and now I live, and now my life is done. So I'll read the blurb. These are technical points. It moves and terrifies me so much because the poet is here composing his own elegy. The immediacy of these lines, and the author reflects upon the waste of his brief life and faces the death of indescribable agony. It touches me in so many ways that it's hard to put into words. The certain knowledge of and the struggle to accept death seems to be a primary motor of an artist's impulse. Why we create art, why we turn to art, and how art helps us express whatever is valid and has meaning in our short span of existence. If that doesn't speak to fucking the importance of living for the now, holy. I think, it's just a reminder, that we are only here for a limited amount of time. My glass is full, and now my glass is run, and now I live, and now my life is done. I think when I think about death, I often think about it I don't actually think about it often. I like to think that I want to live a life where I didn't leave anything, or live it with any regret. I think I knew, and I learned a lot about that this year. And I also even think about it when I'm talking to some of the young guys at work, and how they're in their early 20s and they think about life, and it's very, very different from the way that I think about life. In that, the same way that I thought about life when I was in my early 20s, that you pretty much have from when you're 20 to when you're 30, you have to do so much in order to set up your life. And now that I'm coming up to my 30s, I think I'm just enjoying the ride. that everything doesn't always fall into place where it's meant to fall into place, and you have a lot more control over your life than what you think. And when you start to put in things into practice and you start to find your purpose and you start to become your own person, you really do. You become extremely accountable for everything that all the actions that you take. It's so easy to fucking blame other people. It is so easy. And I think that's something that I learned a lot about myself this year, was the fact that I had to be completely accountable for everything in my life. And when I read this poem and it talks about how it keeps transitioning from what I'm living now to what it's going to be like at the end. And I think that's what life is going to be like. Or that's what life is, really. It feels like just yesterday I was in my early 20s, you know what I mean? And I'm entering my 30s. And I think I just don't want to live with regret. And I'm very glad and blessed in my current life at the moment, the way that I'm living my life at the moment. I'm really, surprisingly, I'm just so content with it. And I've said it quite a few times in my videos. I hope that I can, with the decisions in my, that I have to make fairly soon about whether I come back to Brisbane or whether I stay, that I won't live with regret. I won't feel the need to fucking please anybody else but myself. And yeah, I think those are some of the things that I've learned that I definitely know will help me in the future with any of my decisions. And I think the idea of constantly reminding myself to not live with regret and to take all the opportunities and the chances that I am given and that I have. So yeah, that was Elegy by Chidiok Techborn. Sweet. All right, deuces. I'll see you guys tomorrow.